Greetings, seekers of the hidden truth and architects of the unseen. Welcome back to Whatever You Need, the only sanctuary in the digital expanse where we refuse to accept the glossy surface of celebrity culture as the final word. Tonight, we are not merely recounting a story, we are embarking on an excavation. We are digging beneath the layers of carefully curated public relations, past the blinding flashbulbs of the red carpet, and into the murky, often silent waters of a relationship that has captivated millions. We are here to unpack the narrative that certain powerful figures would rather keep tucked behind closed doors, locked away in the vaults of industry secrets. It is the story that follows Halil İbrahim Ceyhan and Sıla Türkoğlu like a persistent shadow, a ghost that refuses to be exorcised. Before we descend into this labyrinth of speculation, silence, and palpable tension, I must issue a call to those who value this level of deep-dive storytelling. If you want to continue peeling back the velvet curtains of fame with us, you must subscribe to Whatever You Need. Right now. Activate the notification bell, think of it as your key to the truth. And for those who wish to stand as pillars of our community, supporting the research that goes into these scripts, the join button is waiting for your click. Your engagement, your likes, and your comments are the lifeblood of this channel. Now, let us step into the knot of the storm. To understand the magnitude of the crisis, one must first understand the height of the pedestal upon which these two figures stand. Halil İbrahim Ceyhan and Sıla Türkoğlu were not merely two performers placed side by side by the random machinations of a casting call. They were lightning caught in a bottle. From their very first shared frame, they became a phenomenon because their on-screen pulse felt so undeniably alive, so raw and electric, that audiences around the world started looking for that same heartbeat in the off-screen world. They were the embodiment of a romance that transcended the script. In the public eye, they kept things meticulously tidy and professional. They were always courteous, always composed, always maintaining that delicate balance of being one heartbeat away from admitting everything and nothing at all. But when the cameras stopped rolling and the director's clapboard fell silent, the curiosity of the masses did not fade. If anything, it grew louder, more voracious, because some chemistry refuses to be contained by the boundaries of fiction. It bleeds into reality, staining the air around the actors until the line between character and person is irrevocably blurred. Now we must address the reason the room gets quiet when their names come up lately. The story, as many diligent observers and insiders have pieced it together, circles around a delicate, thorny issue that nobody wanted to say out loud. Allegations drifted into the conversation like a cold fog. Slowly at first, barely noticeable, and then thick enough to leave fingerprints on everything it touched. It was a whisper of a possible betrayal, a fracture that didn't appear with a loud crack, but rather with a hairline fissure that ran the entire length of their bond, visible only to those with the patience to look closely at the porcelain. The whispers, persistent and damaging, suggest that the relationship, whatever label you choose to apply to it, took a catastrophic hit when word surfaced that Halil might have let attention from someone else become more than just a passing, polite compliment. Let us be clear, there is no proof that could stand in a court of law. There is no official statement with a signature and a date stamped by a notary. There is only a trail of coincidences, a constellation of late-night sightings that always seemed to occur a few hours after the publicists had gone to sleep, and the sinking feeling that something fundamental had shifted. Reports began to pop up here and there, fleeting mentions of discreet meetings, a cafe tucked away on a quiet street where faces were obscured, a driver who suddenly learned how to forget who he had transported. Social media lit up like an old-fashioned switchboard. The central question burned: if there was a third person, who were they? Was it a colleague from the set? Someone tied to the production team? Or a name that still won't be spoken above a terrified whisper? The theories layered themselves into a timeline that grew more complicated by the hour, until it felt less like celebrity news, and more like a noir plot that nobody wanted to admit they recognized. The narrative didn't stop at the suggestion of a single mistake. According to those who swear they know the inner workings of this circle, this wasn't a solitary misstep, but an arrangement that kept rearranging itself, a situation that refused to be resolved by a single apology or one teary night of honesty. And if you know anything about Sıla, even just the public version of her that smiles for cameras and chooses her words as if each one must bear its own weight, you know she is perceived as fiercely, unyieldingly loyal once she cares. That is why the rumor hurt so deeply. It wasn't just a betrayal of trust, it was perceived as a pattern of behavior. So they moved to higher ground. They spoke about safer topics. Photos were carefully selected to project stability. Interviews were curated like museum exhibits, with every question vetted and every answer rehearsed. The narrative became less about the real temperature of their connection and more about the preservation of a beautifully framed picture that could be sold to the masses. I want to pause here and ask you, the intelligent viewers of Whatever You Need, do you believe that celebrity couples have a duty to be honest with their fans about their struggles, or is the perfect image a necessary part of the entertainment we consume? Where do you draw the line between privacy and deception? We read every single comment, so please, share your thoughts below. And while you are there, consider hitting the super thanks button to support our investigative storytelling. But what actually happened behind the curtain after the rumors escalated? The story goes that everything buckled. Distance entered the room before either of them did. There were nights punctured by hard, exhausting conversations, days where their eyes didn't quite meet on set. And a stretch of time when they seemed to orbit the same spaces without ever truly intersecting. The word breakup floated like a buoy in a tense, stormy sea, bobbing on the waves of their uncertainty. Here is the twist they really didn't want whispered back to them, the sheer scale of the management. The meetings where phones were left outside the door to prevent leaks. The calculated release of harmless, nostalgic content when the temperature spiked in the rumor mill. The sudden appearance of casual photos that conveniently reminded everyone of how easy and comfortable they looked together. If you follow this world, you know those choices aren't random. They are navigation. Why not just say what happened? Why keep circling the runway without landing the plane? Fans ask that question all the time, and the answer is almost always a combination of strategy, fear, and survival. There is the noble version of it. Protecting private life, preserving dignity, refusing to feed the gossip machine. And there is the practical version, timelines to honor, projects that require stability, financial stakes tied to smiling faces, and intact reputations. It is possible the rumors were skewed or escalated by wishful thinking and jealousy. It is also possible the root of them was entirely real, while the shape they took online was distorted beyond recognition. In any case, the result was the same. Tension, distance, and a frost that didn't thaw overnight. Through it all, one fact remains unchanged. The gravity between Halil and Sıla has always drawn attention. People watch them more closely than the average pair, not because they asked for it, but because something about them makes a crowd hold its breath at the same time. Every reunion looks like hope. Every pause looks like heartbreak. If you've followed them from their earliest scenes to the moment the rumors gain names and faces, you've seen this pattern: together, apart, together again, public smiles concealing private storms, a line between them that tightens and loosens with the seasons. What can we take from the whole picture? The industry loves a myth more than it loves the truth. It loves order more than it loves honesty. There are unwritten rules. Never confirm what can be suggested, never deny what can be endured, never show a fracture that can be blurred by better lighting. The alleged infidelity was never printed in black and white by the people who could have ended the debate. But it stirred the water. It caused a break, temporary or otherwise. And then, a decision was made, a united front, at least where the cameras could see. If you lean close to the noise, you hear the same beats repeat. The rumor, the rift, the silence, the siding, the almost apology that never appeared in words but lived in a look, the deliberate choice to center work, the casual photo that looked a little too curated to be casual. The big outlets mostly stayed hands-off, while smaller voices did the heavy lifting of speculation. In the meantime, their fans became archivists, recomposing timelines, studying details, searching for sincerity in a world that rehearses everything. There is a version of this story where the alleged third person becomes a villain. That version is neat and satisfying and always wrong, because nobody in these circles walks alone. Every move is part of a larger choreography involving careers that can rise or fall based on the angle of a headline. Maybe a rivalry nudged the story into the open. Maybe loyalty nudged it back underground. What matters more than the who is the why, and the why is simple: power needs quiet. Audiences forgive romance stories. Markets do not forgive chaos. Maybe all of them are right in some way. Maybe the truest thing we can say is that their story kept happening, just not in the way anyone could pin down. What fascinates us isn't simply the turbulence. It is the craftsmanship of staying afloat. Watching how stars navigate the undertow tells you more about this world than any press release. You see which interviews get booked, which questions get approved, which smiles arrive on cue. You see a studio reduce a storm to a breeze with a single calendar post. You see two people prove, again, that image is both armor and burden. And you see fans, clever, relentless fans, trying to separate melody from noise, because they want not gossip but truth, even if it hurts. Here is our final thought for tonight: love stories in the spotlight are rarely just about love. They are about timing and pressure, and the cost of being known by strangers who care deeply. If there was a breach, it will either heal in privacy or harden into distance. If there wasn't, then the mere existence of this rumor still left fingerprints the size of earthquakes. Either way, the two names at the center remain magnetic, and the industry around them continues to do what it does best. Adjust the lighting, keep the set steady, and invite us to look, again and again, until looking becomes its own kind of answer. Thank you for walking this path with us. This has been Whatever You Need. If this deep analysis resonated with you, please subscribe, like the video, and join our channel membership to keep the truth alive. Until the next mystery unfolds, take care of yourselves. Goodbye.